Hello, everyone. So our next presentation is a panelist discussion. It's about the education. The mission of ideas is we want to fill the gap between um, academia and industry. We did a lot of work, manage a lot of conference, local meetup, and a workshop to help students and the young professionals to learn AI, big data, and data science. And also we focus we focus on the education side. So today we are honored and we are so excited to have you know Dr. James and Dr. Zhou and Professor Cheng to join this discussion. The topic is about the future of business analytics education. So before we start, let's test our Zoom connection. So Aria, can you help me to work with our speakers to test the Zoom connection?
Sure, of course.
Yeah, let me see. Okay. So we will start at 5 p.m. right? So we still have some. Okay. Maybe we can start from Professor James. James, can
Hi,
you?
James.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Very good, thank you. How are you doing, Jason?
Hi. See you again.
We can hear your video and audio. Do we have a PowerPoint to share?
I will, I will be the moderator for this, group talk.
Oh,
so I will
yeah.
share.
Okay.
You want me put a full screen?
Yeah.
Is that
Okay.
for you? You see that?
Yeah, we can see the screen.
Okay, cool.
And I see that Lucy is also online right now. Hi, Lucy.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, thank you for joining our discussion. And I can hear your voice, but it's a little bit smaller. Can you turn it a little bit louder? Yeah.
Just a moment. I think I put it on the highest volume already. Can you hear me clearly now?
Yeah.
Is it better?
Right now, yeah, it's better. Thank you.
Yeah.
And we also have Cindy online. Hi, Cindy.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing good, thank you.
Thank you for joining us. And we can see your camera and hear your voice too. And I think it's all about our guesses for the discussion.
Yes, we have 3 speakers. So I think we can maybe before we start we can ask each of our speakers to have a self-introduction.
Yeah.
Let's start from Professor and Dr. James Dorsett. James.
Yes, good afternoon, everybody. I'm James Dorsett. I'm professor of business at the California Institute of Advanced Management here in Southern California. And a little bit about my background. I really started out with an engineering background and then got into business and spent probably 30 plus years in the corporate world. Part of that time, though, I did some teaching part-time. And so I did a kind of a semi-retirement step to take a rest, but I'm not one to lay back and play golf all day. And I wanted to figure out what did I enjoy doing in the corporate world, and it was teaching. So I decided to start teaching I did it part-time for a while, and then I got my doctorate, went into full-time. And lo and behold, even though my doctorate is in international business, I'm teaching a quantitative course now because of my engineering background and having fun at it. I don't know where I ever got away from it, but that's what I do now. And I don't teach business analytics per se, but I feel like in my position, I'm preparing students that are interested in going into technology. And so that's why I'm here. Always willing to talk about it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, James. We know each other for a couple of years, right? So
yeah.
we were working together to at business analytics, track in CiAM, and it's a really good program. We see, we were making great progress in that field. Yeah. Okay, let's go to our next speaker, Dr. Zhou. Hello, Dr. Zhou. Can you?
Hi, everybody. Hi.
Hi. Hey. Okay, can you
Can you
make?
see me? Oh,
yes, definitely. It's very clear. Okay, can you today we will talk about the education. Can you give us some background about your career in education?
okay. Thank you, Jason.
Mm-hmm.
Hi. I got my PhD from UCLA 20 years ago on the area of video analytics, and for the moment, I'm working for the Zhou Industrial Park, UCLA Institute for Technology Advancement. In this institute, we have 4 areas of business. One is focuses on the education, especially for the AI and big data area. And besides that, we also host XLab incubator for startups. We want local people in this area can have enough talents to work for the incubator startup companies. So we have this incubator since June 2014. And I'm also the founding member of Tyrone Capital, which serves the incubator and also the educational platform. Prior to that, I worked as senior research manager of the Advanced Technology Division of MediaTek in Los Angeles. Even though this is, I think this is a company from Taiwan, but the focus is on the chips, for communication chips, and also for television chips. As the smartphone goes on, they also try to develop video video analytics to serve as a smart, intelligent business world.
Okay.
Before the MediaTek, yeah, I basically I worked in the industry for over 25 years. But for the moment, we try to focus on the big data and focus on the research and the development and also the education areas of the of the AI and the big data area. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Zhou. So today we also have Professor Cynthia Cheng. Hello.
Hi, it's a pleasure to be here. My name is Cynthia Cheng. I am a part-time adjunct teaching business analytics at CiAM. Dr. Dorsett is actually my mentor. Right now, I'm a PhD candidate with the focus on digital innovation and business analytics for a PhD in information systems and technology. And right now I'm also working with a couple professors in terms of getting the entrepreneurship up for the Claremont Graduate University as a campus. Pretty involved in the transdisciplinary portion of the campus as well, serving in the graduate student council. What I really like to see is to contribute. I'm a teacher. I do love teaching, is to apply what I've learned over the past couple of years. Started with e-learning back in 2017, and maybe hopefully contribute and learn something new from the fellow panelists or anyone who's present in the audience.
Yeah, thank you, Cindy. So today, the topic we will discuss is the future of business analytics education. The reason, we manage this, group talk is we can go back to 2 years ago. I did a research project during the summer, and we researched about 200 universities, the schools who can offer who can provide the business analytics major. At that time, it's only for the graduate school. So it seems like a lot of schools, they were put a lot of efforts to launch the new program at either data science, business analytics, and AI. And this is a trend in the higher education. And today, something changed and something still, ongoing. So that is the top reason, we have this talk today. I would like to invite the professors, who are working on the business analytics education to, share some, their experience, their vision, their comments. It's not only for the educators, it's also for the students. So as I know, many students, they want, go to graduate school for AI, for data science, for the new cutting edge technology. Every year I wrote many, recommendation letters. So I know students like this type of major. So yeah, so this is our, purpose for this talk. So I would like to, maybe we can start one question about, the, I know some of our speakers, you are teaching in the business analytics, program. So the question is, the role as a teacher, do you think it changed the result of, business or data analytics? If so, can you tell us a little bit about, how it changed and why you can change the result? So I would like to maybe start from James.
Yes, thank you, Jason.
Uh-huh.
Yes, now I have to answer this question yes and no, because now, as I said, I don't really teach business analytics, but I feel like I'm preparing students who might have an interest. And certainly decision-making, quantitative analysis for decision-making is something that's always been needed in business. So I say no in the sense that as instructors, I believe we always need to stay on top of what's out there in the industry, what's being used, so that we can transfer that into usable tools where students can learn and be tool ready to use those when they go out into the industry. So even before big data came along, I mean, those kinds of things are the things that as a good instructor, I would want to do. So in that sense, it hasn't really changed that much, but in the sense of the tools, very much so. I mean, if you look at my gray hair, you can see that I go back a long way. I mentioned things like Lotus 1, 2, 3 or Fortran, and some of the listeners are like, what is that? Where does that come from? But all those things have progressed one after the other, which proves out to be innovation. So as long as innovation continues, I believe it's us as instructors, it's our responsibility to stay on top of that so that we are ready to integrate that into the classroom. Back then there were those, probably for the longest time, we were satisfied if a student came into the program understanding Excel. And certainly Excel has evolved with add-ins to allow them to do more and more complicated analysis. But today, it goes far beyond that. And so as my role, I want to make sure that I'm preparing the students to have those tools that they need to go out into the world. For instance, in big data, one of the biggest topics is visualization. And we see software out there today that allows you to manipulate a lot of data. But for lay people, what does that mean? You have to have a way of putting that data in a storyboard or a dashboard so that the lay people understand what it is the data is telling them. So I look for organizations, and I think Microsoft and companies like Tableau who have those kinds of tools to provide free licenses to the students. So I let them know that those things are available, and I encourage them in class and often show them in class how to use those tools. Those that are interested in going to business analytics, that would serve as useful for them to know. So it's those kinds of things that I'm always looking for and trying to stay on top of in the class. And so in that sense, I think, yes, the role has changed.
Yeah, thank you, James. It's a very interesting question. So I would like to hear from Cindy and maybe Dr. Zhou. Do you guys have some comments? This is an open discussion. So as a moderator, I think we can share each other.
Well, I'm a student and also an instructor at the same time. So I have to say this. Times have changed for instructors because I teach at Claremont colleges as well. Back in March, before any pandemic happened, we're all still face to face. But right now, with the pandemic, we're out. I'm basically literally just seeing a screen of blackness because I cannot ask my students to turn on their screens because it may be infringing in their privacy. So basically, the teaching strategies in analytics has actually helped me quite a bit over the last 6 months because I have to use whatever I can to think about the behaviors of my students, how far have they gone, and just try to change up my teaching strategy a little bit because at CiAM, we're encouraged to engage the students. So if I cannot see them in face-to-face, I need to find ways to think about how can I increase my interaction, regardless of where I'm teaching, be it at CiAM or at Claremont. So I've done, it's actually interesting because I collect my own data in addition to the end of course surveys. I look at those too. And one thing that I realized is the active learning in my world, when I put all those data together and use some hierarchical clustering, which is basically grouping your variables into groups, and you can see how far they are from each other. Active learning is actually pretty far from what I'm measuring in terms of learning outcome, in terms of having a desired percentage of grade level. And so I'm here working hard to figure, well, how can I put active learning closer to the variables that I'm hitting every other mark at? So this is actually it's actually a interesting thing for me. And I'm working on with some people who are more experienced than me in terms of online learning to see if I can bring that closer in distance. So yeah, analytics has impact teaching strategies because I need to look out for ways to keep my students, regardless of the class size is big or small, to keep them engaged. It's something that is not going to go away soon in this pandemic. How can I make my students think? Just like what Dr. Dorsett is saying, we need to provide them with, there's some practicality to what we're teaching. You know, we cannot just teach them examples from the textbooks or the resources that we have in the education world. I have to go out and look for examples on real world scenarios that can teach them how what you're learning in class is important, but can be translated into different worlds of discipline depending on where you're in, where you're going to be in. So basically, that's the challenge for the analytics. It's because one of my analytics is real world examples. So I'm hitting that mark, and without the analytics that I have for the course that I track, or even the dashboards that we see in Canvas, this will be impossible, because it would be like, I don't know, I'm tearing my hair open. A lot of times students are shy. They don't really say, hey, here, I'm here, pick me, I can answer the question. You cannot see them. So you have to use the digital, such as Zoom, even to their advantage. If you're in a meeting, hey, raise your hand. Can I see a thumbs up? Can I see a clap? And so a lot of times is without the analytics and trying to figure out what I need to spend more time on, it's actually pretty difficult to teach an online course right now.
Yeah, I fully understand. Dr. Lucy Zhou, do you have any comments?
Yes, I do have some comments. I do agree with Dr. Chen just said that during this pandemic time, it is very challenging to provide for teachers, for the instructors to provide online courses to students. The answer to your question is that the role of the instructor changed as a result of business and data and analytics. My answer is yes, definitely it's changed or not. I think the technology advancement make the online education possible and also more intelligent. Because we have an incubator in China, I noticed that there are lots of technology innovation combining business and data analytics technologies and also AI technologies to enable the online education platforms and also make the online educational more efficient and more how to say pleasant. For example, we have one platform. Actually, it's a startup which includes the data analytics, immediately collected from students on the classroom to help the students to learn English, the spoken English, and they provide one robot to collect data from students immediately. And also there's a two teacher provided the instructors just as Zoom. But as just Dr. Chen just mentioned, it is very challenging for the instructor to get feedbacks from students because it's a virtual classroom. It is hard to get, just like in the real classroom, you can observe the students' feedback, their expressions. So in this virtual kind of AI enabled classroom, a tiny educational classroom, they provide a few cameras to collect the data from the students. So basically the instructor to watch 330 degrees of the view of the classroom, and there's also camera can zoom in each student's for specific purposes. And also when the students if they do pronounce learning from the student from the instructor, the intelligent data collector can collect their pronunciation, their expressions, and we also provide the virtual robots to, based on the students' question or feedback, we can ask them direct questions, and all this information will be collected down and analyzed for instructors, feedback, for like a one-to-one or feedback to the students. So this kind of technology, I think, involved with data analytics and AI technologies change the role of the instructor. It makes the instructor, assistant to the students more personalized and more, from all aspect of the view, can understand the students' weakness and understand their needs much faster, so that the instructor can provide the feedback much sooner. So I think, yeah, it's great. Even though it's in a very difficult time of a pandemic, makes the online education real prevail and become a must platform. So I think also makes the the technology will make the instructors teaching model changed. I think permanently maybe in the future. Yeah, I think that's my feedback and my thinking. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Zhou. So let's go to our next question. Next one is about, it's about the, administrator. So I know, Dr. Zhou, you were managing and, some education projects. So maybe we can start from you. Has the role of administrator changed? For the new data analytics or business analytics, education program? Compare with the majors.
Compared to the traditional administrator, is that what your question means?
Yeah, it is a new major, right? So a lot of school, they.
Administrator.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, because we are. From UCLA, there's. I think there. Let me see. From UCLA business school, there's data analytics major. We collaborate with them mainly in the startups. And in China, we provide educational courses and also certificate programs for the local professionals, which serves which help them to use data analytics techniques and tools to help in their work. So I think that because with the help of the big data and business in analytics and also AI technologies, I think the role of the administrator, have to change. Yeah, in this big area. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you for your comments. How about Dr. James or Professor Cindy? Do you have any something to share?
Yes, I agree that the administrative role has changed. If not for anything else, the availability of the data out there. All institutes want to improve in the areas of retention and graduation of their students and student success. And the data is now available where you have access to have it, to get that data, to analyze it, and in some way use it to make better decisions in the direction of improving, for instance, retention. And so that's the challenge. For administrators, then they face this area where they need to find the talent in order to understand how to collect the data, Understand also that there's issues of privacy and security and access that have to be recognized, finding that talent, and then taking these various types of data and creating the models that would be useful in their given institutional environment to allow them to do the kind of analysis that they want to do. So in that sense, it has very much changed. And you know, that's it's kind of a two-edged sword, because you do want to always try to improve your competitive position in the marketplace. But at the same time, because we're talking about a relatively new and innovative area, you have to find the talent in order to do that, and do it in a way that is ethical and assures the privacy of the students. So there's issues now that pop up that might not have been there before, or at least have been under the old ways of thinking and handling information, have been recognized and used over the years. But you know, with new data and with new innovation, as I said earlier, it can always be a two-edged sword where, yeah, there are great things that could be done, but you have to make sure that you walk the ethical line in doing them, and ensure student safety and privacy.
Yeah, thank you, comments, James. Okay, so let's go to the next question. The next, topic we would like to discuss is about the curriculum. I think for whatever the major, the curriculum is the key for the students, right? It defines, what is the purpose for the major and what the students will learn, and how they will, study, the technology, and also gain the skills there. So for data analytics, or business analytics, because it's kind of a new major. It came from AI, came from big data, came from the requirements, the demand from the industry. So a lot of schools started to offer this new major. So I would like to ask, our professors, if there are any special or any, specifications when we design the curriculum. James, I know you are managing the the business analytics track in the MBA program. Can you share some experience with us?
Yes, and thanks to you and your team and helping to develop that business analytics concentration. One of the things that we're seeing, first of all, is that there is definitely a trend for more and more students to select that option. So there's definitely interest there. Overall, I think that we are beginning to see that we might have to expand in the area of prep. Right now, we offer in the MBA program a couple of courses that might help prepare students who are interested in moving into that business analytics track. And one of them is one of the courses that I teach, the quantitative analysis for decision making. And what that means is that as we look to more and more students to take that track, we want to be able to provide them with preparatory tools, so that once they begin the 3-course concentration, they'll have a comfort level that they'll be able to succeed in that concentration. So it's a couple of things that we see among the other instructors that teach this course is being able to put focus on statistics, for instance, and help students understand. And many of them come there with fear and trepidation to deal with statistics. but we help them understand that today there's so many applications and software that really do the heavy work. Of course, we want them to understand the rudiments of what statistics are about, but the most important thing is that they be able to take these tools that are available and utilize them in analyzing challenges or problems that they're going to face in business. And I think, like Dr. Cheng had mentioned, you want to find real world situations and scenarios that you can create that will allow them to put those tools to practice. And I mentioned earlier Tableau and Microsoft BI that gives you the opportunity to manipulate large amounts of data and then create visualizations to represent that data. Those are the things that we try to do. I mean, today, you know, in my day, we talk about time series forecasts, and we take data, we forecast it. Today, you can do several different types of forecasts at the same time and test the accuracy from them and determine which one gives you the optimum forecast. And so there are tools out there that do that. So, and I think that if we're able to prepare them in that sense, give them little snippets of things that they can expect as they move into this area, then they'll be comfortable when the time comes and they begin that concentration.
Yeah, thank you. And I know, you know, Cindy, you were teaching in business intelligence course. So can you share some, you know, experience, you know, when you design the side-by, you know, how you can put, you know, everything together for the students?
I think it's as an instructor, it's important to know, because we're teachers. We're not just teachers with the same set of skills that's going to last for 15 years because of the field that we're in. So we're constantly learning. We're constantly knowing what's going on out there. And as a PhD student, I'm a lifelong learner. I've studied all my life in gaining new knowledge. Once you're excited about it, I will bring it up to my supervisors. And because we have, the way that Claremont works is that they have a set of faculty, senior faculties that are planning the upcoming curriculums or in creating new courses. So it's a lot of communication. Same thing here at CiAM. When we see something that is worthy to think about adaptation into our MBA program, there's usually a lot of collaborative process to recognize that there is the need for this and how can we bring that into the curriculum at the right set of classes, and along with, well, how many semesters of courses do the students need to have taken in order to make them ready to take these set of courses for specialization. So a lot of it is the integration curriculum from a, I wouldn't say seniority, but I would say how ready the students may be in order for them to take certain classes. And what are the things that we want to look for to make them ready for this? And a lot of it also comes from expertise from maybe corporate connections that we may have. And the way that I do application into my own classes is basically I would ask my students, what are their backgrounds? If they're in, let's say, media, I will look for media examples. If they're in automobile, I try to look for automobile examples and basically try to say, hey, I know this week we're talking about, let's say, just like what Dr. Dorsett is saying, this week is time series forecasting. Well, for some companies that are small, they don't need it, or can they afford a Power BI? What are some of the solutions that they can have? You know, Excel is good to start. Everybody has Excel. Let's get them start up and then eventually move on to different tools. That's what I do for my students, because some of them in my BA right now actually do want to see some results in other languages or other software stuff that I told them I have them on my computer. So if you want to take a look at what do they look like, let's do it. We'll have Excel on the side. We'll do this in R. I would do this in SPSS. I would do it in Stata, because they were shocked that there's so many options out there. So I guess the application of the analytics is really depends on what you're looking for. and what exactly are you tailor it into, because certain tools are more popular in certain fields than others. I use it all, but that's because I'm a researcher and I'm teaching analytics in different settings, including politics, government, psychology, etc. So I have to learn all of them. But the application is integration is basically specifically is what is your school's intention. If you're strong in business analytics as an MBA program, then we have to look what's out there. And we start with Excel because it's Microsoft Teams. They're everywhere. It's a PC's world.
Yeah, definitely. I was teaching at several schools. USC, University of Southern California, and also UC Long Beach. The thing is, big data analytics, or AI, they are all cutting edge technology. The industry, like Google, Facebook, LinkedIn, Amazon, they leverage this type of technology to solve the most complicated business problem in the whole world. And the demand is huge. They hire a lot of students there. But the challenge for the educator is education is kind of behind the technology. I can say always behind the technology. So how to fill the gap between the education and the industry demand is a challenge for every educators. So I would like to maybe ask Dr. Zhou, Lucy,
Hi.
you are,
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Oh,
okay. You are working on the, the bridge, like a bridge, the work between education and industry. So, what type of, curriculum, what type, of, syllabus do you think is good for both education and industry? So I would like to hear from you because you are working on both sides, right? Industry.
yes.
And
Yes. Technology now touches every part of our lives. So the amount of data available in the business world and the financial market is exploding. And businesses, government, consumers, investors, policymakers, and others face major challenges as well as the opportunities to adapt to the result of the fast-moving flow of information. So in China, for example, government, they apply big data to their business, to their policy-making decisions, and also their public management in a lot of ways. For example, public transportations, they put a surveillance video in everywhere. And also they need the data analytics to help them analyze. And the technology actually enables that. Technology helps that a lot. So from the curriculum point of view, I think the students should learn the fundamental analytical tools. But for the moment, because technology advancement makes this kind of type of work much easier. For example, in China, I think a lot of startups works on the financial analytics, and also financial technology companies help manage risks. For example, used to involve a lot of manpower and also administrators to do a personalized checking. So for the moment, as the technology replaced that, they did a lot of modeling and do personalized data tracking. So all this technology helps the business much faster. So I think in the future, the curriculum should also involve some kind of technology aspect of courses. So that's what our institute, trying to training the professionals. And even though they are from banks or from the government point of view, they have to learn some kind of background from not only from the business world, but also from the technology world. Not only including the tools from Microsoft, but also maybe involve a lot of like a more kind of background understanding of how AI programs runs, like how to establish the models so that these models can help them replace their data analytic tool. The practice before in the old days. So from UCLA, there is a program like a MS program, especially in the big data analytics area. They provide the 15 months of MS program in the area to help the students establish the deep understanding and acquire the skills to apply. To work in the future. World, business world, which becomes faster and more efficient and more globalized. So without this big data analytics, like more tools, more advanced tools. So it's very hard to compete in the future business world. So that's my feedback and my understanding from business world, from China, and the educational, educational progress in China and also in UCLA. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Thank you for your comments. So our next topic is what is the downside you see to the proliferations of analytics in academia? So, everything has a good side and a downside. So we are getting into the age that, all the data analytics, the tools and also the methodology become very popular. We use a lot in the schools. So I would like to maybe, we can talk about, a little bit about the downside. Maybe, James, you can share some of your points.
Yes, that's an interesting question. There are, I guess probably the main concern I have is the area of bias. The human element is, of course, inherent in the design of analytic models and algorithms. And because that's true, I think bias is there. And I think a lot of times it's overlooked. We talk about bias in statistics, and that kind of gives you an idea of what we need to be aware of when we're designing these models or these algorithms. For example, there are companies out there that focus on using zip codes to predict outcomes and preferences and areas where demographics information is needed. But it ignores things like the impact of redlining, which has been a very negative impact on African American and Latino families. And this is kind of an example of association bias, where these elements of zip codes, where you pull up these different preferences, are embedded with bias, and it's largely ignored. There's an area that's called confirmation bias, where as designers we make these programs, or we design these algorithms, and we naturally look for ways of supporting what we believe as we build these algorithms. And as a result, the bias is there. And anything that disagrees is often discarded or disregarded. So probably a caution is to not necessarily take data as the absolute and only truth, and be aware that bias does exist, even if it's in the background, it's there. And I think that's one of the areas that I think is a downside in analytics. We've heard about some of the things that have occurred during elections where certain search engines were proposed to have been biased in one way or another to move your opinions or my opinions in one direction or another. So those things can kind of happen. And I think that's where I believe that a significant area needs to be closely watched and examined.
Yeah, thank you for your, give this, points. And I totally, agree with that. Data can, can tell us, the whole story, and also people can somehow, either manipulate or somehow, because the technology we, for instance, we pick up the wrong technology, we may get the wrong, results, or maybe, we collect part of the data, right? So we didn't get the global view for one particular, business issue, then we get, solution or a result kind of, bias. So another thing I really care about is the, the privacy, and also, the data leaking. Recently we heard about, almost every year, and even, some very big companies, they have the, issues about, leaking their data. And also, that's really hurt for the regular, customer like us. So that is another, downside. So I would like to hear from, our other, two speakers. Do you think there's any other things or concerns for, for the usage about, data analytics or big data? Do we have?
Yeah, Yes, I would like to provide a few comments. I think, transformation through advanced analytics could be very difficult and also challenging for any organization. In higher education, the challenges are compounded by sector-specific factors related to government and also talent. For example, leaders in higher education cannot simply pay lip services to the power of analytics. They must also apply and address some of the most common obstacles. For example, like the academic probably focus more on the external compliances, but let me say, they have, many higher education institutions, data analytics teams focus mostly on their efforts on generating reports to satisfy the government and the operational compliances. However, the primary goal of these teams is to churn out of university statistics that accrediting bodies and other third parties can use to access each institution's performance. Any requests outside the bounds of these activities are considered emergencies rather than standard. So analytic teams in this scenario have very limited time to support strategic data-driven decision makers, which is really crucial for the business world. Another one is, for the moment, maybe it's very isolating the analytical programs in an existing department, because in higher education institutions, normally they use reports to the, to the head of the government, to the head of the department. However, the business, the operational, the real business development department of the company or of the government or the organization, they are the real how to say team to execute the business tasks. So as a result, you know, the analytical functions should become the associated with the agenda of the department rather than a central resource for general, you know, just for like a general talking or for the corporational strategic planning. It has to get into the true business division to help those people who execute the business daily business operations, you know, to help them make the business decisions. I think in China, my observation that academia and the industry are collaborating much better because they frustrate a lot of startups. For example, you know, I just watched one company. They are doing financial risk management for big companies to help them take loans to individual consumers in the internet, because internet, e-commerce is prevailing in China and also in United States. And how you can take loans to this small individuals, how can you make their credit reports? So the company make all the, you know, collect all the data, integrate all the data resources from different aspects, their behaviors in the internet, they are they are browsing and they are spending patterns in the internet and also in the daily life. For example, if they what's their the behaviors with the bank, with the conventional way, and also with the internet patterns, so they can help the consumer they can help the e-commerce companies to give them loans or not very quickly. So this kind of technology and two applications can really bridging the academia and also the two business world. And also, I think the downside of the academia in data analytics probably is failing to establish a culture of data sharing and hygiene. This is just, Jason talked about that already. To apply big data in the real world involves a lot of compliances from the government, private issues, legal issues, and how you protect the security of the data, and how you prevent this data be used by negative applications. So I think the academia should also address these issues from the real world, and to be better help the make the education in this data analytics area and make the students understand all these true problems from the real world will be very helpful. I think that's my point. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for Dr. Zhou. So, we are running out of the time. So the last topic is, I would like to ask every speaker to share some, advice to the students or your future students, who are interested in pursue their higher education in business analytics or data analytics or AI. So please, briefly, give them some advice. So maybe this time we can start from Professor Cindy. So, I'm asking each of our speakers to give some suggestion or advice to the students.
I think it's to have an open mind that no method is better than others. Data comes in all different tastes and flavors. Not all data are created equally. So the most important thing is, if you're interested in pursuing a education in business career or data analytics, period, is not, aside from the skills you can learn from school, you can learn from being a self-starter, but it's to have patience in knowing what kind of data you have, because as a data scientist, 80% of my time is cleaning. And then once that's done, I can then do some magic with it. So it's the most important thing is be ready to work long times and probably tear out your hair on how to put the data together. So that's my advice is know what you want, know if you really are interested, because the idea from going from a set of data to results, it's basically a journey. Enjoy that journey. Think of it as an intellectual challenge for you to become a better researcher, a better person. If you really like that and this is something that you really want to do, go for it.
Okay, thank you, Cindy. How about James?
Yes, I agree with Dr. Cheng in what she advises, but I also suggest that you want to make, as a student interested in this field, and pretty much any field, you want to consider yourself as a lifelong learner, and keep in mind that there's more and more opportunities to learn out there on the internet, and particularly to focus in specific areas within, business analytics, a very broad area of interest. And you want to search within yourself to see if you could, where you want to focus. Well, you have the opportunity to test that with various types of training, webinars and modules. A lot you can find on YouTube, very basic, and explore those and see, what piques your interest, the kinds of things that you're drawn closer to. And then you have online, what you would call certifications that you could get in testing some of these areas where you find that you're most interested in. So use the technology, use the internet, because so many of these things are made available out there to you. And once you kind of honed in on that, now you can talk about going into a degree program to get the full scale of business analytics in a particular area. So that would be my advice.
Thank you, James. How about Lucy? Do you have anything to say to the students?
Sure. I think business analytics, business analysts are responsible for creating new models that supports business decisions by working closely with financial reporting or IT teams to establish initiatives and strategies to improve importing and to optimize cost. So the professionals need a strong understanding of regulatory and reporting requirements, as well as plenty of experience in forecasting, budgeting, and financial analysis, combined with the understanding of key performance indicators. And also identifying and prioritizing technique and functional requirements also tops the business analyst list of the responsibilities. So in this aspect, business, students who would like to explore, get into the business analysis professionals requires both hard skills and also soft skills. They need to know how to pull, analyze, and report in data trends, and also be able to share the information with others and apply them on the business side. So not all business analysts need a background in IT, but the IT background definitely can also help them in this professional. So that's my point. Yeah.
Okay.
In this area.
Thank you for your sharing. So I think this is the conclusion for our discussion today. Let's go to the questions. So we have one question from Liang Xu. I think the question is, what are the impact of BA, I mean, business analytics, on the subjects that are more about social science in business school, such as HRM and entrepreneurship? I think his or her question is about, the impact on social science. So maybe, I'm not sure, who can, answer this question. What is? Go ahead.
Well, I was just simply going to say, you mentioned human resource management. I think that, and I don't know that it has actually trickled down to that point where it's being taught in classes, because I don't teach human resource management, but I know that the use of it would be into, for instance, using data to find better talent in the marketplace, and how, applying that data to seek out that talent, screen potential applicants, that employers would be doing this, and also analysis in terms of, once they're hired, performance analysis. So, and all this is, it's not new analysis, but the fact now that we have larger and larger points of data to pull from, business analytics will help you to do that analysis more efficiently. So I think in that sense, that's where you would find a use for an impact of BA and HR. And whether or not that's taught in the class, and we've already talked about various types of tools that do different kinds of analysis. Whether that's taught in the class that these tools are available, I don't know, but that would definitely seem to be a way of transferring what basically human resources has always done, but now to do it more efficiently with tools out there in the marketplace.
Yeah, I think, I remember there's our first speaker for today is Peter Ross. He's running a startup company, who use a lot of, natural language processing technology in chatbots. And also during the lunchtime, we have another speaker, Tart, talk about, how to use the real-time machine learning technology in mobile applications. Yesterday, we also have, some speakers, cover their projects in their, startup, company. Today, also, we have, Dr. Cheng. He used to work at, LinkedIn as the leader of data science departments. So not only the startup company, the entrepreneur, also the large companies, we are trying to leverage, we are trying to use the cutting edge technology in our field. So for these students, I believe his major is social science, and his students from business school. So I think my suggestion is, you should learn some kind of, knowledge. Maybe you are not a programmer, but you should know the technology, because, in the future, maybe, in your future work, you will use this type of technology. And maybe as an entrepreneur, you can use this type of technology in your startup company. So learn something is always, better for, for the students who, who want to, pursue their career, and it's basically, use the technology and also, the skills. So that is my comments. So the last question is, what is the #1 university in the world who can offer the major program in AI? This is a tough question. So I think, we can check ABC. I think, there are a bunch of, group, education group, or, institute, they offer the list of the, the schools, the ranking of the schools. You can go to the public, resources to look for that. What I can share is, today, we have professors, from CiAM, California Institute of Advanced Management. I really like, the MBA program from their school. The reason is, they are trying to give the students the cutting edge technology, right, James? So we are working together in the business analytics track. So to introduce, some new technology in the, MBA program. So that is one of the reasons I really like, CiAM. And also, I know in other schools, a lot of, professors, educators, we are trying to add some new technology, especially AI, in our program to help the students to get jobs, to help the students to learn some new, skills. So, okay. So I think, James, do you have anything to add? Oh.
No, I just want to thank you for inviting me to this conference, and I really enjoyed it. I had a chance to hear some of the other speakers, and I'll be on off and on in the next couple of days, but I really enjoyed it, and I appreciate you inviting me to be a part of it.
And I do thank you, James, to be our speaker, and also Professor Cheng and Dr. Chung. So thank you for all the speakers today. And